So I'd like to dedicate this episode to all my IP friends who always tag me on trendy IP cases, recent development, people that always send me emails, DMs, and like, Auri, I need your thoughts on this. So one day I was doing one of my, Twitter mini blog series on patent infringement, and I got tagged on a post. So the person is at ayo_mide, and he was like, "Hi Esmeralda, I'd love to know what you think about this, especially concerning copyright and TV rights." And I looked at that post, and it was about the federal government issuing new regulation as regards to broadcasting sports event exclusively, and it kind of felt like it was being targeted at DSTV. So I had to DM the person. I was like, okay, I'm currently doing an IP series. When I'm done with this, I will attend to your query. And that was how part 2 of the sports and IP throwback series, just came up. So I remember I had said in an earlier episode that this is a 3-part series. I first talked about the late Diego Maradona case with D&G over the use of his name and sports number. So you guys should please check that out. But yeah, welcome to today's IP series episode. So if you are a first-time listener, thank you for listening to my podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, favorite, whichever of the platform you're listening to my podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. And for my returning guests, you guys are the best. You guys are the best. Thank you. So what I do here is just talk about intellectual property cases, trends globally, give you that like an African or a Nigerian future. Nigeria is like a very lovable, spicy country. Yeah. So my name is Rita Anrichinda, and I am the podcast host for IP series. So yeah, let's get into our conversation for today. But before I do that, I hope you guys have listened to episode 73, because this is episode 74. This is episode 74, and like I said, we are 26 more episodes to the 100 episodes. So yeah, let's get into our conversation for today. So when I got tagged on that post, it was actually a rainy Saturday, and I was like, let's see what we're going to come up, how we're going to tackle this. Now, that new regulation that was issued, it kind of raised a few eyebrows. People felt like the federal government was targeting multi-choice because they have exclusive rights to broadcast sporting games like Premier League, and they're like, because the regulation was like, oh, you guys have to sub-license to NTA and the likes of them. And people are like, nah, that is this, that is that. So I just, had to jump on it. But yeah, the sporting industry is a big business out there. It's one of the most profitable business, especially now where people are delving into the metaverse, e-game, online gaming, video games, mobile games, all of those things. So you can see or imagine why people were a bit upset about that law in particular, and they're like, nah, we ain't having any of this, we can't let that fly, we can't let that, and they're like, this government. So in Nigeria now, we have to, there are new development coming up every day. The sports industry is working hard to make sure that they look at how they can commercialize and exploit intellectual property. And we know that the main purpose of intellectual property is that it encourages the creation of a wide variety of intellectual property or intellectual goods for consumers. It also strikes the right balance between the interests of innovators and the wider public. It also aims to foster an environment in which creativity and innovation can actually flourish. Now, broadcasting rights is one of those ways for the sporting industries to commercialize and make money from it. Because other than the footballers or the athletes performing, how else can the relevant stakeholders such as the sponsors, the sports event organizers, and the clubs and everyone, how can they really um, participate and, you know, make money from all of these things? Now, broadcasting right is, like I stated, is one of the exclusive rights that an intellectual property owner has in a copyright and a related rights work where there's a corporation where the relevant stakeholders, come together and decide that okay, this is what we're going to do. So TV and media houses pay huge sums of money in order to get exclusive rights to broadcast not just top sports events but also sports events generally. And we know that copyright protects literary and artistic works such as broadcasting, sound recording, music, books, artistic works, musical works, cinematography works, and that protection is automatic. However, depending on your IP system in your jurisdiction, you might opt to register or deposit a copy of that at the copyright office in your territory. Now, for most sports organizations, selling broadcasting rights is a way for them to generate revenue, to generate funds that is needed to actually finance most of these sporting events. They refurbish stadiums, they contribute to the development of sports at the grassroots level. So I recall that seeing a post on my friend Beverly's post talking about how Dubai is like the biggest sponsor for one of these sporting events that is coming up. So you see that a lot of people are, being more conscious as to investing and to how to grow a particular industry. I mean, if you look at sports gaming, I mean, it's going bigger with the metaverse and Web3, NFTs. You know, it's like a combination of different things. You have the entertainment sectors, you have the game, sports, tourism, education, live performances, and etc. And it keeps growing, the esports sector. So imagine now people decide to buy sporting rights in esports or in the Web3 or in the metaverse. How are they going to be regulated? And I think regulation is one of the things that makes people start talking um, as to whether the government is really for or against a particular industry. Now, when someone um, gets to buy this broadcasting right, royalties are earned from selling exclusive footage to other media outlets. So let's say, yeah, Super Sports has the exclusive license to broadcast Premier League, and they now want to sublet to some other media outlet, let's say like NTA. NTA will now that's a they'll now be required to pay what is called a royalty to Super Sports going to a non-exclusive arrangement. That is if Super Sports um, broadcasting rights gives them the authorization to actually sublet. But where it doesn't do that, then it becomes an infringement. So when they sublet to this other media outlet, they can use it to invest in other costly organizational and technical infrastructure using broadcasting this sports event, because broadcasting is not cheap. I mean, you need to have the right gadgets and infrastructure, the right team. Everything has to be on point. So when it comes to IP, it is non-negotiable. When something is exclusive, it means that it is restricted to a particular person or group, and this is non-negotiable. So if you're going into a contract with someone and someone is like, this is an exclusive arrangement, and you do not understand, it is best that you explain or ask your lawyer that's representing you to actually explain what it means to be an exclusive arrangement. Exclusive is not just me and you and I, just one party A, party B. But when it's non-exclusive, that means party A can go into an arrangement with party B, with party C, with party D, and it's better for them because they make much more money. But if I decide to go into just one party, go into a relationship with one party, that means I am going to actually, I go bill you die. So I don't know if that makes sense. Now, relevant stakeholders in the sporting industry have the athletes. Kudos to all the Nigerian athletes who made us proud at the just completed Commonwealth game. The teams, their trainer, everyone. Kudos to all of you. You guys, did a very fantastic job. So I think I read somewhere where it was like, I think Nigeria has about 12 medals of from this recently concluded games. I'm trying to get to the post, but yeah, I know I did see that on someone's time, and I was like, "Oh, that's really nice." Um, Amusa and her team did a fantastic job at the 100. You know, they did a fantastic job basically. So if you follow the Commonwealth game and you're super proud of your country, I'm proud of Nigerian athletes. But yeah, we also have the sports federations, you have the broadcasters, you have the media platforms, you have organizers of sports events, corporate sponsors, manufacturers of sports equipment, sports fans. Everyone that I've listed are very important. They have their own roles that contribute to the success of the sporting industry. Now, how can all of these persons exploit the fusion of intellectual property and sports? Now we need to understand that intellectual property rights in relation to sports events is about the business, just like in the entertainment story. Like why the music is there, the music is what is the selling point that everyone wants to get a piece of. So in the sporting industry, the intellectual property rights, such as the broadcasting and related rights, image rights, and the rest of them are like you know, they are the things that make people want to invest. Secondly, the fusion of IP and sport, and thirdly, how to make money from all of this. Now, first off, you need to consider the relevant intellectual property mechanism, such as, I mean, not such as now. The most important is copyright protection. And like I said, copyright amongst all the IPs gives you automatic protection. It just depends on what your jurisdiction provides. Now, any work that has to do with broadcasting every sports event will need to be covered and transmitted to various medium such as TV, radios, podcasts, live reviews. Now we're having Instagram lives, YouTube lives. We're also having conversations in the metaverse and Web3, and this. I mean, it's a whole. I mean, with tech and emerging new frontiers is like they are defying creativity, innovation, the rest of them. So yeah. I hope I'm making sense anyways. For anyone listening, please, if I am, just send me a voice note or a message like, yeah, you're making sense, or you made sense. Thank you, guys. Now, did you know that between 2015 and 2018, FIFA had generated about $3.5 billion just from television broadcasting rights? And it just begs the question, when are we going to start monetizing what we actually have here in Nigeria? Like, we have the potentials, we have the athletes, we have the future athletes that can be trained, we have what we just need is infrastructure basically. Now, back to copyright. Now, IP protection such as copyright is very crucial in ensuring that stakeholders can continue to generate revenues, which are then, redistributed for the benefits of sports and athletes around the world. Now, according to um, Alexander Schwab, I had read an article. I like to take my research very seriously, guys. Yeah, so he said TV rights of sports events play an important role in the development of TV market and TV rights for popular sports like football. And football is like one of the most, it is the most popular sports. I mean, internationally, you see that it's the foreign sports or football clubs that have more fans. Back here, I'm not sure I really, I don't want to say this, but how many people actually support our local football clubs. Not so much. But then you hear stories of how back in the day the stadiums used to be very full, people used to attend, watch the local leagues play, but not so much. I think when we do have those um international or regional competitions where Nigeria is playing another country, we do have people or supporters and fans, go to support our dear country. But sequel to what happened in Abuja, I'm not sure anyone's going to be visiting Nigerian Stadium anytime soon. But yeah, let's move on, guys. Now, they are now a big subject. I mean, there's no way, even all the sports betting um, businesses, people are a bit more competitive when it comes to, arguments and trying to be supportive, like, oh, I'm a diehard this. I know a few days ago people were celebrating that, oh, thank God, Premier League is back. And I was like, ha. And people are like, yeah, change your remote, all those kind of, jabs, going here and there. Now, I had done a poll and I was like, okay, as a Nigerian, do you think the government needs to do better in developing the sports industry? 95% said yes. And I would agree. We need to work on developing, other than creating policies, regulations, having stakeholders meeting, gathering people to work on drafts and nothing really comes out of it. We need to do a lot more better. I know recently there was this launch that took place a couple of weeks ago and everyone was like, oh, kudos, kudos, kudos. Yeah, let's see the actual groundwork. I'm not criticizing, just sharing my own views, just in case anyone is listening. But then I asked, do you prefer to watch live sports events on TV or physically? And 3% said yes, 7% said maybe. I think live sports gives you, I think for the, I won't call it local living, but when you have like football matches in, say, your school or your association, I think participating in live sports events, going to the stadium, you get to interact with people, you feel the vibe, and you're like, oh, and you're screaming, you're shouting, the excitement, you're cheering people. I mean, now we are preparing for the female football competition at the Nigerian Bar Association, and I'll be cheering my friends who are actually playing Alero and Anastasia. So you guys, woo woo, you have one cheerleader. Yeah. Then I asked, do you think sports coverage for sports in Nigeria? Do you think we have enough sports coverage for sports in Nigeria? 95% said no. 5% said yes, which was kind of sad. So is it that the local TV stations are not doing enough in covering sporting events, or do we not have enough sports journalists? What is the issue? Why do we think that we do not have enough sports coverage? What can we actually do to incentivize or create awareness, build that support for the local leagues here? Then I ask again, viewers, are you more interested in live shows? Because according to an article by still the same guy, Alexander Shaw, he was like, live sports events are like the main characteristics of sports coverage. 79% said yes, viewers are more interested in live shows. 60% said no, 5% said maybe. Now, another thing we even want to consider is cost of participating or watching live shows. You have to pay money to get into the stadium, or you have to, so that you encourage the people that actually own this product. Then substitution is different because you can't watch all sports events being covered. True. So if you have two clubs you're supporting and they're playing on different channels, just like the current BB Niger season 7 that is being broadcasted on two separate stations. How you keep switching back, on and off, and the rest of them. It kind of is a bit distracting. Then the concentration of rights in the hands of sports federation reduces the number of rights available. 69% said yes. 31% said no. I really don't know why. I don't know. I don't think so. I think I will go with maybe. I'll just go with maybe. Let me just be neutral. So I'd shared a link by my very good friend Beverly. Beverly Bakobashi wrote an article on the interplay of intellectual property rights in the sports industry. So you guys should check it out. It's on Medium, or just type the interplay of intellectual property rights in sports by Beverly, and the link will come up. So next on the list for the fusion of sports IP and how it can be commercialized is sponsorship and endorsement deals. Now, athletes themselves, the organizers can get funding through sponsorship, through endorsements, through marketing as well, and they go into like an agreement where one party receives funds for more exposure and the other is more or less like an investor hoping to make more profit. So it's a win-win situation for both parties. Another interesting thing that is in the sporting industry is third party ownership in football. So check out an article by Nick DeMarco, who QC is a well known sports practitioner. Then you have trademarks in sports. Athletes, sports organizers can take advantage of registering their marks, names, logo. CR7, Messi. I know Messi has like the highest catalog or portfolio of trademark registration. Um, Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, sports events like the Commonwealth, can you remember Olympics, the names, the logo, all of those things are being trademarked for commercial purposes. It can be licensed, it can be cross licensed, it can be assigned. It also helps you stand out in the crowd. So remember that the previous episode talked about late Maradona, Diego's name, and his number 10. So that guess it shows you how both athletes can commercialize and make money from their name likeness and the rest of it. You can also go into like a collaboration with sports brands to create a particular collection which may be limited. It also generates revenue for both parties. Then we now look at which is like our main bone of contention today, which is on licensing. Remember, I had said we have two types of license. You have exclusive license and non-exclusive license. Now, brands and IP owners can explore this medium of commercialization by going into whichever arrangement that suits the relationship. So if you want to go into an exclusive one, it means it's just you and party B. But if I decide that I'm going to license my broadcasting rights to the live games, Commonwealth or Premier League or local league sports or regional sporting event, AFCON and the rest of them, I can decide to license, going to a non-exclusive license with Super Sports, NTA, LTV, RSTV, and I'm River State. I'm from River State. Yeah, that's why I mentioned RSTV. But any TV station or media platform or radio TV station that is interested in buying. So each of them will have categories definitely as to access and reach. I think that's where you now find out that the smaller media platforms might want to sub license from the bigger sports or TV stations who have gotten the license to broadcast any of these sporting events. Then license also licenses grant rights without transferring ownership of an IP to the licensee. So a licensor is the person that owns it, the licensee is the person who's getting the right from the other person. It also gives the licensor enormous strategic marketing and earning potential. Now, I had asked a question: do you think that the new regulation, as at then, so this is a 2020 issue, so I'm sure there are new developments. I know we had the NBC code, Bruhaha, and that's another interesting era as well. I mean, 2020 just came with a lot of interesting cases. Do you think regulation It's fair to people who made effort to get an exclusive license, such as multi-choice to broadcast live sports events that they have to share with other broadcasters because the government says, because the new regulation was like, we are prohibiting exclusivity of sporting rights in Nigeria. Broadcasters and exclusive licensees now are now mandated to share such rights with other broadcasters to boost reach and also maximize utilization by all broadcasters of premium content. I think this is my personal view. I think that regulation was very restrictive, and it kind of was delving into the exclusive rights that are granted to broadcasters under our Nigerian copyright law. So I'll just read the exclusive rights that are accorded to broadcasters for you guys. Section 8 of our Nigerian Copyright Act provides that copyright in a broadcast shall be the exclusive right to control the doing in Nigeria of any of the following acts. First is the recording and rebroadcast of the whole or substantial parts of the broadcast, the communication to the public of the whole or substantial part of a TV broadcast, either in its original form or any form recognizably derived from the original, the distribution to the public for the commercial purpose of copies of the work by way of rental, lease, hire, loan, or similar arrangement. Then sub 2 says the copyright in television broadcast shall include the right to control the taking of still photograph from the broadcast. And sub 3 says the exception specified in paragraph A, H, K, N, and O of the second schedule of this act shall apply to the broadcast in the copyright in a broadcast in like manner as they apply to copyright in literary, musical, or artistic or cinematographic graphic films. Now, the second schedule of the act is talking about fair dealing principle. Fair dealing principles basically is that it provides that you are using a copyrighted work not for commercial purpose, not for money making, not for profit making. You are using it solely for the purpose of research. Using it for the purpose of research, parody, news reporting, etc. Now, whether or not you're in the broadcasting industry, so far as you work in the creative space, it's very important that you sign a written agreement, no oral agreement. Even though oral agreement is binding to an extent, it's very important that you have it, you put ink to paper, sign an agreement stating that the copyright is either being transferred, assigned, or licensed for a term of duration before actually commencing any work. Now, we know that ownership of copyright in broadcast is for a term of 20 years. I think 20 years is too small, just like we have for patent. Patent is also small, but it is what it is, right? Then we have international treaties, laws such as the Rome Convention of 1961, which is an international convention for the protection of performers, producers of photograms, and broadcasting organizations. So if you are in the broadcasting industry, please check that treaty, check it out. Now, copyright owners have economic right and moral right to actually earn and make money. So economic rights gives you the right to generate revenue, to make profits either directly or indirectly through the exploitation of your work, while moral rights gives you the protection to protect your creativity from being defamed, defaced, modified. That would make it, that will make your reputation to be affected in some way. Now, I asked the question, which of these rights do you think a licensee is entitled to? 83% said economic right. And I was like, a licensee, the person that, you know, went to get the right from the owner who is a licensor. I didn't even say licensor. And then 70% said tell us. Should I? Should I not? Anyways, a licensee has the economic right to make money and also the moral right to prevent third parties who would want to, interface or use their exclusive right that was accorded to them. So they have like a limited form of right. So even though the right was transferred to them, they have limited rights as to what they can do um, as the person who's now authorized to use the copyrighted material. An exclusive right comprises that company's economic rights includes the right to reproduce copies of the work in various forms, right to distribute the work to the public, right to lend or rent, right to make translation or adaptation, right to commission the work to the public, perform, show, and play the work, right to derivative work. Now, derivative work is a work based on pre-existing copyrighted work, and for moral rights, a copyright owner has the right to be named as the author of the work. Also, moral right is also known as paternity right. Why do they have to call it paternity? Don't mind me, guys. They also have the right to protect the integrity of the work, which also prevents and prohibits anyone from making any drastic change or modification or alteration to the work that may damage or bring dishonor and affect the reputation of the copyright owner. Now, it's very important to state that moral rights cannot be transferred because they are personal to the author. They're very, very personal. So take note, guys. Now, one of the main issues or concerns about sports media in the digital era is the unauthorized retransmission of live sports over the internet. When you have illegal streaming platforms and the rest of them, which is where part three of the sports and IP um, segment would focus on. I have a very interesting case. It's a Kenyan case, and it crossed my timeline a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Ooh!" So that made me, go back to all of my sports um publication and decided to do a podcast version. And then so that part three is going to have a newsletter and maybe a Twitter series. I haven't decided yet, but that is going to conclude this. But so yeah, that is one of the issues that affects the sports industry in the digital era, where broadcasters have lost billions of dollars from broadcasting contracts and sponsorship deal because of this illegal and unauthorized retransmission. Now, apparently, it seems like there's no solution in sight, especially as we are moving and delving into Web3, the metaverse. We're talking NFTs now, all of those things. And you're like, okay, what are we going to do? So I hope to answer these questions in the next episode. If you have questions for me as well, please send them so that I just compile all and answer in either the Twitter version, the podcast version, or the newsletter version, guys. But yeah, bringing it back home, how prepared are we to deal with issues such as illegal streaming of sporting events? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the infrastructure to deal with this digital disruption? I mean, now everyone is talking about the metaverse, Web3, esports, gaming, you know, broadcasting sporting events in the metaverse and the rest of them. Are we really prepared to tackle all of these issues? I don't know, guys. I really do not know. Now, I had also done a poll. I was like, would sharing an exclusive license solve anything? 67% said no. 70% said maybe. 17 said they were indifferent. I don't think that sharing an exclusive license will solve anything. If for anything, I think when the bidding starts, or we can just talk to the sport organizers to have like a package that is affordable for smaller media platforms and TV stations and radio stations. That way, they are generating revenue. So you have exclusive rights to broadcast just this league or just this season or just this particular sport. You can then, for news reporting sake, report it on your TV show, blah blah blah, all of those things. So in 2014, the UK TV broadcasting stations such as Sky Sports and BT Sports were given conditions that they had to meet in order to be granted license to broadcast sports events for a period of 7 years. So that kind of elapsed in 2017. And, you know, we would also like to protect whatever benefit they're supposed to get from each of these broadcasting, rights. And in 2019, the same Sky Sports and BT Sports retained the broadcasting rights on live televised Premier League football. They ended up paying about 4.464 million pounds to the clubs for the rights to the five main packages of matches from 2019 to 2022. So that license is going to elapse this year. We're in 2022. So I'm sure they're pretty much gearing to get the next set of licensing rights, sport broadcasting licensing rights, to be able to broadcast sporting events. Now, this be can this be in one of Nigeria? Can this be a way that Nigeria can actually use to boost and encourage sports teams and stakeholders, where we're like, okay, we're going to give you XYZ amount or XYZ packages if you help us broadcast our sports local league events or sporting events? That's going to put our athletes on the global map, just like people are now investing in the entertainment industry. We need people to start coming into Nigeria to invest in our local leagues. We also need to sort out a lot of issues. I mean, do the athletes themselves know the rights they have? Do they know they have the rights to? They can make money from their name. They can get sponsorship, endorsement deals. All of those things. Are they aware of this? I do not think so. But we do have a lot of work to do. Regarding encouraging the sports teams, stakeholders in Nigeria. What have we learned from 2020 when the regulation came on board up until today? Yeah. Up until today when I'm talking about this case. Now, since the inception um, of the English Premier League in 1992, they have sold their media rights collectively by negotiating either directly with broadcasters on behalf of the English Premier League, the EPL member clubs. Now, can our clubs do the same? I think we can. I know we can. If we have the right people who are knowledgeable, who are well versed, who are ready to learn on the job. But it is what it is. I mean, let's think about this for a second. I know we can. I think we can. I know we will be able to say it because sports is a business. If Ask Bev. Bev will always say sports is a business. Attend sporting events, be educated. I mean, now we have hybrid events. I know FIFA keeps updating their rules and guidelines and the rest of them. There are books now written. Beverly has one already, A to Z of the sports business, sports law. Just know the basic things. We also need to change our mindset within Nigeria as to how we can commercialize the sporting industry, how we can explore broadcasting rights, not just broadcasting rights, audio visuals, naming rights, and all the rest of them. Now, we also need to look at our competition law. We have a competition law, guys. Please read it. Because in 2019, Buhari signed the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act. So we have the law. The act is a competition regulator which is empowered to prevent and protect anti-competitive practices, regulate mergers, takeovers, and acquisition, and also protect regulated industry in every sectors and location in Nigeria. So we need to fix the industry, take competition serious, take our taxes serious, take intellectual property serious, take insurance serious, take employment issues and labor issues serious, anti-doping issues, merchandising deals, sponsorship, ambassadorship, all of them. We need to take all of them seriously. I don't think that especially with regards to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, that there's that monopoly will be allowed to exist. Now, most of the arguments I had seen then and read with regards to that, I also stated that the regulation was kind of being set up to, all hands were just pointing at DSTV, who has like the major sport broadcasting rights in Nigeria. So it was like DSTV was already monopolizing sport broadcasts in Nigeria. So if you really want to learn more about competition law and how it affects your industry, just read section 76, section 80 to 82 and 85, so that it doesn't seem like I'm reading a lot of I'm reading a lot of laws, but you do need to take them seriously. And when monopoly is found, the tribunal, that's the FCCPA, would make efforts to include prohibition of any acquisition or transaction or business breakup or forced publication of prize lists. I mean, people complain now that DSTV, that's multi-choice, their prices, they keep increasing their prices, but people are not getting value for their money. So I think that's something they need to also reconsider. But I had listed out clubs in Nigeria Premier League, which is the Kano Pillars, known as Sharks, Dolphin for River State. Whoop! Whoop! Proud River State girl though. Bayelsa United, Eyimba. I know I used to hear a lot about Eyimba. Eyimba for Abia State, and a whole lot of Premier League clubs. Now, have any of them been able to exploit their IP and also protect it? I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything visible, so I can't really say. But then this is possible. There's a possibility that they can do that through merchandising, sponsorship, license, either an exclusive or non-exclusive arrangement, TV broadcast rights of their local league games, brand exploitation, brand sport publication, registration of their trademarks and clubs trademarks, names, taglines, logos, slogans, emblems, signs, which all have commercial value. So there are ways we can actually monetize our sport industry. We also have the endorsement and advertisement contracts. I think that basically sums it up. Yeah, that basically sums it up. So we're wrapping up in like a couple of minutes, and my final say and recommendation would be that we need to organize training for the relevant bodies and stakeholders on how they can explore the business side of sports through intellectual property. You need to have a good sports policy. You need to engage the right people to come up with solutions that will be implemented. We need to also have that sit down with the federal government and the ministers and like, look, sports na business. If you just wake up the talk say make people go make them go dey share their bread, make sense now. What if hunger dey catch the person that you want to the group of person that you are authorizing that they license to become too greedy, and but then the thing is, sports broadcasting rights do not come cheap, so you don't expect that someone will spend that much money and then you're now mandating them via a regulation stating that they have to sub-license their rights so as to boost broadcasters and help them utilize the broadcasting stations so they have premium content. To have premium content and money, and they say content is key. Everything is content right now. So we need to look into all of these things. We need to explore resolving sports dispute through mediation, negotiation, arbitration. We also need to have our own sports disputes panel that are educated. We need the tribunal members to be well educated. You need to understand that intellectual property rights are territorial in nature. So if I was granted sport broadcasting right and through an exclusive arrangement to broadcast just in Nigeria, you don't expect me now that doing that means I have to, resell the license. It's kind of like how NFT works, where the fact that I sold my NFT to you doesn't give you the right to resell it to a third party. That's how IP works. If you're not the owner or the author, you do not have consent, permission, authorization to actually resell or sub-license. I hope that the government will do a lot better in terms of regulations and engaging the relevant stakeholders. We also need to have the right infrastructure. I mean, we're battling a lot of things. 2023 election is coming up. Things are heating up. I'm obedient to. I remain obedient. Seriously, things got changed. The market is not smiling, and people are no longer smiling. There's a lot of issues. I mean, we are actually feeling it. And we pray and hope that it doesn't get worse. But yeah, guys, more conversations about the sports industry online, on TV show, on radio stations and podcasts. If you want to talk about sports, you can send me a DM. I'll just set up a day we have the conversation on my podcast. If you want a live session as well, we can have Instagram lives, whatever it is. But we need to sensitize people on the importance of exploring the business side of sports, especially in this digital disruption era. Before we know, we're not going to be doing physical rights, intellectual property rights. We're going to be talking about virtual rights in the sporting industry. And if we don't have R&D facility, R&D basically is research and development facilities, or sandbox, or we don't have people that are already researching on it, it's gonna be blah day, guys. So yeah, I think that's about it from me for now. So stay tuned, guys, for part 3. And so we have come to the end of today's episode. Let me know if you guys found part 2 of the sports and IP series throwback edition insightful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, like, share, retweet, follow, favorite, subscribe, talk about it, send me a voice note on Anchor, send me an email to ipseriesinfo@gmail.com. You can follow me at ipseries1 on Twitter. You can follow me at ipseries_with_reader. Reader is spelled REEDAH. On Instagram, you can also send me my personal account at Esmeraldo99 on Twitter and at Esmeraldo5613 on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. Just type or search for Rita and we're reaching the end. Peace out, A-Town, guys. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm forgive me, but yeah, see you in episode. See you in episode 75 as we talk about sports again. But yeah, thank you guys, and lots of love. Have a fab week. Bye.